You are now listening to the LanceScurv Show, the boldest spot on internet radio.
Racist rapist gets away with crime against black teen. If you have not come to the realization that for many judges in America, black lives really don't matter, then the results of a rape case should change your mind. As reported by Rolling Out, a white student named John R.K. Howard brutally sexually assaulted a black special needs student at Dietrich High School in Dietrich, Idaho. The black victim endured taunts at school from his teammates and football coaches who called him fried chicken, grape soda, nigger, and many other racial slurs. The racial intimidation eventually led to a brutal rape in a locker room where the black victim's pants were pulled down and a coat hanger inserted into his rectum. Another white student, John Howard, kicked the hanger 5 times, pushing the hanger deeper into the teen's rectum and causing tears that required surgery. This past December, Howard walked out of a court a free man for his horrific actions against the victim. He struck a plea deal for a lesser charge of injury to a child and faced 2 to 3 years of probation and 300 hours of community service. In addition, he did not have to register as a sex offender despite his sexual assault against the victim. He faced final sentencing last week in the courtroom of Judge Randy Stoker. Last Friday, Judge Stoker decided that Howard should receive no punishment, declaring from the bench that people from the East Coast have no idea what this case is all about. Stoker further declared that this is not a rape case. This is not a sex case. This started out as penetration with a foreign object. Whatever happened in that locker room was not sexual. It wasn't appropriate. There's nothing in this record that supports anything close to the sexual allegation against this young man. In my view, this is not a case of racial bias. He told Howard from the bench, "If I thought you had committed this offense for racial purposes, you would go straight to the Idaho penitentiary." With that said, Judge Stoker sentenced Howard to 300 hours of community service and 3 years probation. If he violates his probation, he could be sentenced to up to 10 years in prison. Many are asking what it takes to prove a black person is being racially victimized. In Idaho, apparently, calling a black teen a nigger while shoving and kicking a hanger up his rectum is not racist, nor is it rape. The victim's family has a $10 million lawsuit against the school district pending for its callous disregard of his torment in school. This is terrible, people. But what do you expect? I mean, with the history of this country, and the things that we hear people say, and the things that we see people do, and the way we know this system works, I'm really getting tired of speaking on these things. There was a song that was playing when Mike Tyson made his comeback after he was in prison. And the song as he made the ring entrance was "Time for some action, tup, 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 time for some action." And that was so appropriate because the adrenaline was pumping. He had been out of the sport of boxing for such a long time. And it was just like, oh my God, just to see him. My thing is, brain fart, that was just a reminiscing moment. My thing is, it's been time for some action. Now, people don't misconstrue my words and think I'm going to say, well, go out there and get a weapon. And no. That's what they want. They want us to play that game because they have tanks, they have missiles, they have the biggest machine guns, they have technology. See? And they want to snuff us out. And things like this happen and are allowed to happen as they do in the system. What's the purpose of that? Is that to make us all feel good, or is it to rouse us up to come against someone where they will do something at us? When I hear of organizations like Black Lives Matter, and I've said it before, the title alone which it wasn't created by one of us, number one, and not financed by one of us. So that's suspect right there. But the title alone, the name alone, Black Lives Matter, it's like a little kid walking down the street with their parent, tugging on their coattail. Mommy, can I have some candy, please? My need for candy matters. Why do we have to convince another human being or the rest of the world that Black Lives Matter? We know it matters. We need to act like it matters. We need to carry ourselves and do what we need to do as a people, because we are the Rodney Dangerfield of the whole human family. Remember that comedian? Maybe the younger folks wouldn't remember him, but he's the guy that used to walk around and say, I don't get no respect. I don't get any respect. With the big eyes. Google him if you don't know, Rodney Dangerfield, or go on YouTube and search him. You'll find it. But that was the basic punchline of everything he did, that it all came down to him having no respect. Are we really the Rodney Dangerfield of the human family? We complain about not getting any respect. And I'm not saying that some of us do things to not get it, because I can't lump everybody in one category, because we're not monolithic like that. But too many of us are sitting on our backsides and complaining about what's done to us, instead of unifying and making the oppressor fear what we're going to do back in retaliation. Now, and I'm going to say it again until you all get tired of it. Do you think if that kid, special needs kid, was a Jewish kid and they called him all types of names out of his name and shoved a coat hanger up his rectum until there were tears, that judge would still be a judge after letting this guy off free? If it was a Jew, if it was an Asian person, do you think that they would sit back and let that happen? There's too many Asians in the world. There are too many powerful Jews in the world. Power? Well, we all have power. We just have to realize it, because black people, we are the sleeping giant of the world. The power that many people of other races and cultures display, really, they're hooked up to us and they're flexing with our power. And what do I mean by that? Well, you know, in certain hoods, especially down here in Florida, I drove through Winter Haven one time, and I went through a poor part. That's in Central Florida. I believe that's in Polk County. Okay. And there was a house next to another house, and there was a bunch of orange extension cords leaving that one house because they allowed that house next to it to take some of their power, because I guess they didn't pay their bill and their power was out. So how would it look if that next house that was getting the power from their neighbors threw off on them like, look at this, I got my TV, I got my computer, it's coming from the other house. So with the resources being stolen in the motherland, with the exploitation of us as workers supporting someone else's system, they're getting all this damn near free labor from the darker peoples of the world. But yet and still we look at someone else as though they're great, and we beg them and say to them, Black Lives Matter. Well, hell, they know Black Lives Matter. This is where they're getting their riches from. This is how they're maintaining their lifestyle, off the poorer, darker peoples of the world. But we see a case like this, and a judge can let off someone who looks like him so easily. It's almost like thumbing their nose at you, but nothing's done. And they have our finances and our resources and our power in their pocket. Black folks, listen, we're so worried about Nene Leakes and the Housewives of Atlanta and all of these crazy reality TV shows. We have gossip blogs out here that talk about who's sleeping with who and who's doing what with who and who's bisexual, who's homosexual, who's straight, who's on a down low. We focus on so much of this foolishness. Women on my bus getting mad at the next woman because her hairstyle looks nicer than oh, come on, y'all. We're all in this struggle together. Why are we so distracted? And for you Christians out here, show some balls. Show some balls. Just because a story might not embrace someone who's in the Christian faith, that doesn't mean that you're supposed to ignore it. You're black too, those black Christians. And you have no conviction even in the faith that you do have or claim to have. Because I don't see much. And maybe you won't agree with me when I say this, and it might be controversial. Because, okay, when 911 happened and the Twin Towers came down, I do believe that it's an inside job. Maybe those 19 so-called terrorists existed. Maybe they didn't. They're going to argue about that. We're going to have to wait about maybe another 65 years or 60 years before the official hidden things come out. It takes 75 years for them to release that type of stuff. All right. But let's say they were real. Let's say they did that. Although a plane can't bring down a building with the fuel. We know that. Search YouTube. There's a lot of quackery out there, but it's obvious. But say they were real and they did this. Imagine someone to believe in something so strong that they're willing to give their life. They're willing to give their life. We're not saying they're right for believing in what they believe in, but their belief, their mere belief in what they believe in, the faith they have in that, that's some hell of a faith to go take. I'm going to get in the plane and run it into a building. When half of y'all who claim to be Christians can't even cut that extra plate of potato salad out of your diet. But then you turn around and talk about, oh, it ain't nothing but the devil. I got high blood pressure. Oh, ain't nothing but the devil. Diabetes is hitting me. Pass the sugar. You can't even let those things out of your diet and have enough faith to know that if I eat correctly, I'll live a good life, a healthy life. But you claim to be Christian. But you run away from stuff that deals with race. As a race of people, they don't care if we're Christian or Muslim, atheist, Buddhist. They don't care. When it comes to coming against your black behind, that's what it's all about. And of course, we know it's not everyone, but the system and the things that happen in the system, letting a guy off like this to live a happy life. While this other special needs kid has his rectum torn out. And you sit here, and those of you who hear about this, it's just, ooh, that's so terrible. I'm going to pray for him. It's going to take a lot more than prayer. You see, I pray all the time. Both spellings. But most people out here pray under one spelling. And what do I mean by that? What I mean is that most of us who go to church and play it safe and don't want no trouble and won't stand up when they see things like this happen and take effective action because they can't, because we have no damn unity, they pray. P-R-A-Y. Me? Yes, I believe in the power of prayer to change things. P-R-A-Y. But you know what? What makes the difference with me and many other of those who walk with me? We also pray. And how do we spell that? P-R-E-Y. When I pray, I'm also scheming and plotting on how to pray. And only then, after a time, when we pray, P-R-E-Y, other folks will understand that black lives do matter. But it starts from the inside. It doesn't start from us running to our oppressor to beg for acknowledgement that we matter. What an insult to the very God you say you serve.
Make sure to check out the boldest blog at LanceScurv.com and follow Scurv on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube under LanceScurv.